Hello, YouTube subscribers. Today or tonight, whenever you're watching this, I am doing another Marvel Fox movie review. And today's Marvel Fox movie review is The Wolverine. As now correctly, well, now actually, how should I put this? Basically, as Fox originally brought out the original three X-Men movies, then X-Men Origins Wolverine, then X-Men First Class, then the Wolverine going forward, the correct timeline from after the Wolverine. Now, and as I said earlier, and over again in most of my Marvel Fox movie reviews, is that basically I am going in the correct timeline order, starting from X-Men First Class, X-Men Origins Wolverine, X-Men X2, X-Men United, X-Men The Last Stand, which I did the review for X-Men The Last Stand yesterday. And now today I'm doing The Wolverine, which originally takes place after The Last Stand, which this movie confirms that, because jumps a year later. Well, basically the movie jumps kinda basically the years between the moments of after, I want to say, Logan left his mutant hits army squad in X-Men Origins Wolverine, and before he settled down with the romantic life. That basically he was a prisoner in Japan during the bombing war of Japan. And then, which introduced to us of basically introducing us a little bit of the story of how he knew the guy that will get reintroduced later in the movie, which he saves a young Chinese man and from death, and then as we see more parts of that past later on in the movie, where he basically where Logan is re-explaining the story to the Chinese man's granddaughter, that basically her grandfather was that basically that same place that Wolverine met her grandfather got turned into from something tragic and war into something peaceful and beautiful. And after basically kind of re-explaining the story of how him and her grandfather met, basically her grandfather rewarded Wolverine with his sword, basically, and then Logan grabbed the katana sword, and then told him to hold on to it for him. He'll come back for it. And then, which, okay, honestly, you can tell that it takes place even before, like, after he like, it could have been like, I want to say it was after. The point it would be placed in would be after he leaves his mutant army, the mutant army that Strucker put together, and it would even take place way before he settled down, because he still had his bone claws and not yet his adamantium claws. So, and then jump years later, we after basically he saves the Chinese man, and kind of before we see the scene where the Chinese man gives Wolverine the katana, as basically Wolverine wakes up and that we see that was a dream, and he wakes up into another dream, basically a dream into a dream. And that second dream is where he's seeing himself in bed with Jean Grey, which basically he has been having, which lately he's, after a year, lately he's been having hallucinations, dreams, nightmares about basically his past and killing Jean, regretting that he killed Jean, and as every soldier that lost his loved ones, basically. And basically, yes, this Wolverine movie will label him as a soldier, because in a way he is a soldier, as it's been laid out in the comics and in basically the Fox movies. So it and basically in the second dream, when he's with Jean, he basically explains that he's sorry, he regrets doing that to her, that he will never use his powers against someone ever again. He made a solid vow he will never hurt someone, and we see her kind of make fun of that vow, and then she tells him it's too late, because then he looks down at her stomach and sees and then he screams, no, 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 wakes up again, and we're now in reality, out of dream reality. And in real wake up reality, we see Wolverine, Logan, looking like caveman Jesus, which don't quote me on that, because I'm not trying to mean. Rewatching this, I actually do agree with some people now, because not at first when I first saw the Wolverine, because when I first saw the Wolverine and heard most people say he kind of looked like Jesus, but now, rewatching it now, I kind of agree. He did, some points, some angles he did. So, don't quote me on that. But basically, from there, we see him basically living in the forest, in the dirt, basically as a hobo, kind of living life to life every day, trying to keep his vow, going into town, buying a few things, and then jumping a little bit further, that basically, and also basically in the beginning, when he's walking into town, to the store, we see that basically he runs into a grizzly bear, which I, for X2 X-Men United, yes, for that review I did said that when he sees the wolf, and him when he sees the wolf and the wolf looks back at him, that was a metaphor, and basically he's the wolf and all that. Well, trying to find a connection between him and the bear and that metaphor, I want to say is that basically, which after he goes to the store and wakes up after hearing a bunch of hunters scream, and sees the bear, he once again sees the bear, but shot by an arrow, and the pointy end, it was dipped and poisoned in a certain type of poison, and the bear was hit with it, but one of the hunters that shot the bear didn't even bother to put the bear out of his misery. So the only, and the bear, Logan saw the bear's claws kind of went out, scratching the dirt, and then went back in, basically like he does with his claws. So the only metaphor I can see him between him and the bear of his storyline towards this movie is basically the bear is he's like the bears, where he's basically living day to day, not basically not wanting to live that animal life anymore, and basically there will be times where you are gonna have to use your claws again, even if you may not want to. He stabs the. So that's the only metaphor I could go with. It could be a terrible metaphor between him and the bear, and the storyline for Wolverine's character for this movie. But it's, to me, I want to say it's as close as that as it could be. But other than that, he stabs the bear, puts the bear out of misery, finds one of the hunters that survived the bear attack, started to basically kind of like play torture the hunter, where he basically stabs the hunter's hand with the arrow and freaking burns the wound with really hard liquor, and and then that's when we kind of get permanently introduced, but we do see the character spying on Logan earlier when we see Logan going into the store and into the bar, because she's was sent to get Logan by the guy that he saved earlier in the movie, and which she goes and fetches Logan, like settles the bar fight, takes Logan and talks to him for a little bit and asking him to go to Japan, and it takes a while for him to say yes, but eventually he says yes. They go, basically, and also how she basically stopped the bar fight between Logan and the hunter and the rest of the people that was in the bar, was basically she did a cool katana trick with like a special katana, and she even told Logan, don't even bother taking out most of these men, because most of these men will die, and some of them in the same truck, and then that's when they leave, which I'm guessing she's she throughout the movie she quotes that she has like this ability where she can like see people die, like glimpses of the future of their death, which I'm guessing, okay, A, she's a mutant, but she doesn't really know it. She just knows she has this power. And then we see that he gets to Japan, gets to the home of the guy, the and he kind of meets everyone in the family. The granddaughter basically tells the girl because, as we learn, kind of from her is that the girl that fenced Logan for the old man is basically she kind of got adopted by the old guy to be like a friend slash sister to his granddaughter, because it was hard for his granddaughter to make friends, and she was the only child. So and that's why the girls get along so well, and then which the granddaughter looks at her and she's like, that caveman can't go in there and talk to my grandfather, not like that. So, which before she told her friend that we see her talking to her grandfather and being emotional because she knows he's the near death, and she knows she can't really do anything about it but miss him because she was very close to her grandfather, because unlike her dad, her grandfather was more of a father figure towards her than her dad was. And basically her dad and her heard stories of the Wolverine, but after Wolverine basically got a clean shave, normally looks like the Wolverine, as we all know, but I've noticed rewatching this, unlike like the First Class short scene, X-Men Origins Wolverine, and the original 3 X-Men movies, his hair is actually shorter in the Wolverine compared to those past X-Men movies. Plus, even it went back to be longer, like how it is in the how it was in those past movies, and Days of Future Past, and Logan, even in Apocalypse. Like, even Apocalypse was a bit more longer, but hey, Wolverine goes in the room, talks to the grandfather. The grandfather, the dude offers Logan to basically he invented technology to pass on his ability to him, and basically to anyone, and basically he will give Logan what he desperately deserves: a life full of love, to be a father, and basically eventually die a perfectly old age. Eventually, as we find out, that's not really what Wolverine really desires. He basically desires what any soldier desires. Well, almost any soldier desires, which is basically first what Captain America first desire when picturing his death is basically dying in battle. Not dying a peaceful death with family and shit like that, no. in battle, in war, not basically not even caring to if you die on battlefield or not. So that's why he truly desired jumping through the movie of basically seeing the granddaughter, seeing some glimpses of the granddaughter looking at Logan like, yeah, I'm gonna play this off and pretend like I'm gonna hate him, but damn, look at him. Other than those scenes, Logan is acting like more the father protector figure towards her, and then they have like this weird romantic Humpty Dumpty scene, or it makes you think they had Humpty Dumpty, because they both lay in the same bed in one scene, and and so that storyline was just, which I get it. I mean, in the comics, he actually did her, and they had a son together, and that son basically kind of became enemy slash actually like a friendly son to an enemy son type situation, and even to the half sister of Logan, well, not to Logan, but to even to Logan's daughter, so, which, after this movie, it left me questions. Was she actually pregnant? Like, was there a certain time where she actually realized? Because after they Humpty Dumpty, she actually didn't really care to hide her feelings anymore towards Logan, and I wondered to a certain point from the rest of the ending and the actual ending itself, was she actually pregnant, or was she during that process of basically pregnant, and and was Fox actually going to introduce the son and do the son storyline, because the son basically had in the comics had like this tattoo from his face to like his shoulder and part of his chest, like the Rock, kind of this weird mohawk, and like his claws, basically two comes out here, and then the third one comes out his wrist. So, getting deeper in the comics during the time when the Wolverine was coming out, I was really hoping, getting my hopes up to see that storyline for Logan, even after Days of Future Past. So, but other than that, as we all know, where Wolverine goes to Tokyo, Japan, basically, every time when we see Wolverine in the comics or in the cartoons, when he goes to Japan, he fights an enemy, and we all know what that one enemy is, and that's the Silver Samurai. And at the very end of the movie, we see exactly just that, but instead of it being the reason why, like in the comics, their hatred was over because of the girl. Well, instead of actually doing that storyline, I still kind of agree. I still like how they smoothed it in. Is basically, which they hinted at the grandfather's funeral, which when they acted like the grandfather died and had a silver samurai armor at his funeral, hinting. And then later on, we see basically a war machine, well, not war machine, but ironmonger, huge armor, at the very end of the film, even blueprints, and basically and that's the robotic Ironmonger silver samurai we see Wolverine fight up against, and which the armor is made out of the same metal as Wolverine's bones and claws is vibranium. Well, not vibranium, but antimantium. Um, which we even find out after Wolverine gets chopped off the helmet from the armor. We see it as it's the grandfather, and the grandfather basically lost his mind at this point, so desperate to get Wolverine's powers, which he's able to do that through the suit. And it's the granddaughter that ends up killing her grandfather, and then happy ending from there. And then for there was one short moment we actually thought for a few times Logan was going to die, because we got introduced for the first time in live action to Viper, the Marvel comic book villain that most time works with Hydra or the Serpent Society, is Madam Viper. And for the first time ever in live action, we get to see her in all her glory as a mutant. I don't know if that's actually how she was in the comics, if she was a mutant, but if they did change that in the movie, I don't care. I mean, they still did the character really cool. She was really badass. I liked the actress they choose to play Madam Viper. But she put like a robotic thing into Wolverine, and where it wrapped around his heart and started like making him lose bits and pieces of his healing ability. Where basically at the funeral, while a bunch of thugs was trying to kidnap the granddaughter, Wolverine, and while Wolverine was getting shot by those thugs, he wasn't healing. Turns out it was that little machine wrapped around his heart. After he gets that out, he gets his healing back. And then at the very end, when we see at first the Silver Samurai get a little bit of his healing after chopping off his claws and going through the bone, which the only way he did that was because when the Silver Samurai hold his big sword katana like this with two hands, most of the scenes you actually see him with one, holding it with one hand, and if that active, but it heat up the blade, like the blade heat up with like a form of a flame, and that's what helped chopped off the Wolverine's claws. And after, from a certain point of him absorbing the healing factor from Wolverine into him, basically, and before we and after Wolverine basically pop out his claws again, like his whatever's left, whatever was left of the metal claws went back into his hands, and when he popped his claws back out, it was the bone claws. We saw the bone claws one more time, but shaped as like the actual metal shaped, how the and then basically he finished stabbing, ripping off the armor, and then threw the grandfather out of basically the building after they basically broke broke half of the wall down while they were fighting each other. And then Logan fell, just basically dropped to the ground, and made us thought he was going to die. Which the girl that has the future death vision basically told Logan that he was going to die. She saw him die. She saw him die. That basically he was on his back, taking his last few breaths, holding his heart in his hand. Okay, during the time, not really thinking about it, but after seeing Logan, it actually fit. I want that basically she explained it was like looking through a keyhole. You don't get to see the whole picture, which I truly feel like what she was seeing was basically the end of the Logan movie, is where basically she was seeing that scene, and that death scene, that basically that he in a way he is holding his heart in his hand, and he is on his back dying, taking his last few breaths. But she didn't see the full picture because, like she said, it's hard. So that's what I was thinking after a few times rewatching most of these movies, and so it really clicked into me. But if that's what she saw, then cool. But if not, then I'm totally lost on what was his death exactly, because if it anyway, if you guys get what I'm trying to say, then cool, that's awesome. Drop in the comments down below saying, hey, yeah, we get what you're trying to say. But anyway, I like the storyline, basically him trying to figure out, basically him as a soldier, been through a lot of stuff, been through wars, and basically now trying to find his way back, trying to find himself, and basically not just trying to find himself, but get himself back into the fight, and questioning, does he really want to die and be with the loved ones he desired so much that he lost years ago, or does he actually want to continue and just stay in the fight? Which that's exactly what that question answers after he drops to the ground. After finishing the Silver Samurai, Jin goes to him, and she asks him, stay with me. Well, yeah, stay with me, be with me. Your fight is over. And he's like, no, it hasn't. It never has. He's just been ignoring it. Even though she ends up disappointed, she goes into the light, leaving him alone. And which throughout the movie, when he's protecting the granddaughter, he sees her. He sees Jean, and Jean asks him, "What are you doing? I thought you were done fighting." And he's like, "I just got stuck into this mess. I'm still keeping my promise," and including she needs protecting, which I like most of the time when he calls her a princess, because technically she did act like a princess. And And then, which at the end, the very end, we see him go on a plane with basically the girl that basically dragged him to Japan. And, which in that scene, we were supposed to see him open up a briefcase showing the Wolverine costume, or at least the orangish, yellowish brown suit. But that got taken out, and basically all we got was basically her asking him, where do we go? And it's basically him saying, up. Let's just start with up and see where it goes. And she's like, okay. Jumping from there to the post-credit scene, which the post-credit scene is basically another teaser of what the beginning, kind of the beginning of The Last Stand teased us. Basically of the Sentinels, I can't even say it. The guy that basically invented the Sentinels and the Sentinels technology itself. So basically hinting to Days of Future Past, to the next X-Men movie, which is Days of Future Past, where the post-credit scene was basically where we see Wolverine at an airport without the Chinese chick, and basically Magneto is right behind him, which he stopped Wolverine right when Wolverine was about to attack him, because we see him get his bone claws out, and his claws are still the bone claws and not yet adamantium. And yet Magneto, the guy that controls metal, not bones, unless it's Wolverine, I guess Wolverine's bones was still adamantium, and it wasn't fully, and the adamantium was just sitting on on the rest of his bones, and I guess it didn't just yet re-hit his claws yet, or something like that. I have no idea. That part confused me from jumping from those short, real quick ending scenes to Days of Future Past, while seeing him once again with his adamantium claws. So, other than that, hey, I was lost, I was confused, I let it go because I still enjoyed the two movies. And either other way, it's cool to see Wolverine use his bone claws or adamantium claws. So that's the rest of the story. That's the whole basically shebang. The action scenes, I like the action scenes. The action scenes, the fighting scenes. I liked the fighting scenes. The fighting scenes was really good. Like the core off. I can't talk. The words I want to say, I can't even say it. Basically the core off. The fighting scenes, I'm just gonna leave it at that. The fighting scenes, how they fought, how they did the fighting scenes, it was just perfect. I liked it. It was really awesome. Along with the story plot, basically my my first favorite fighting scene I like throughout this whole entire movie is basically the bullet train scene where Wolverine is trying to fight those guys on top of the bullet train, and it's like, and basically how he's trying to dodge the train metal things, and basically how he fooled one of the guys. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Sorry. I just did a goofy move. How he fooled one of the guys about jumping, and how one of the guys actually hit the metal train thing. My second fighting favorite scene, I would have to say, like the scene where another of one of my favorite action scenes from this movie, I would have to say exactly, if I had to choose two, it would be the bullet train first. Second, okay, I know it's not much action and it was more comedy aspect, but it did kind of have a little bit of fighting in the scene, so I am kind of gonna consider it as a kind of action scene, but not as much because it was more built for comedy. Was where he threw basically her fiance that she was forced into to be her fiance. When Wolverine throws her fiance over the balcony and he lands into that pool, I thought that was more hilarious, but not as hilarious as the bullet train scene, but still funny. So I know that's not really much of an action scene, but he still punched the guy. I mean, if you have fists up and punching, I mean, you gotta consider that as like action, a bit of action. Anyway, drop your comments down below. Anything, just anything about Marvel, the Fox movies, your X-Men, what's your favorite X-Men character, comic, anything X-Men, any Fox, Marvel movie, show, whatever, and whatever Marvel thing, movie, show, whatever, just drop it in the comments down below. If you're a newcomer dropping by, please hit that if you're a newcomer dropping by randomly by one of my videos, please hit that subscribe button. I welcome all new and old subscribers with open arms. If you're an old original subscriber, welcome back. I always appreciate you guys keep coming back. If you liked this video, hit that like button. If you guys did not like this video, I would not be upset if you guys did hit that dislike button, because I do appreciate your guys' honesty. Have a nice day, have a nice night whenever you're watching this. Peace.